Now back to Joe Declassified. So staying in 1993, we get the Arctic Commandos, a sub-team that was made up of repainted versions of DJ, version 2 Snow Serpent, version 3 Stalker, and Sub-Zero. Snow Serpent, Stalker, and Sub-Zero were packaged together with a file card, and DJ was in a separate baggie. At the time, the DJ mould was still in Brazil and being used by Estrella, while the other 3 moulds were in China.
So, I'll say this. The Sub-Zero out of this Arctic set is nice because it doesn't yellow like the regular retail figure.
But if you'll look in the photos here, we do have a test shot for Sub-Zero, and it started yellowing.
Oh.
Perfect timing on that one.
I mean, yellowing, it's aging. You know, it's the colored plastic's changing. So
I guess we should talk about the coolest thing that we have for the Arctic Commandos, which are, 2 different versions of the art. We have both the mock-up to show as well, that's on Yojo, as well as the actual box art, correct?
Well, we're talking about the Arctic Commandos assault team at this point.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's what they're called.
No. It's the next line. We're on number 3. This is what we're talking.
I'm just saying, they're the assault team. It was a different concept with the Sub-Zero.
I don't really agree. I think that this is in 1993. One of the things that we were getting, a lot of these 93 things we've learned actually had a different origin. I don't know how many of these were really developed for the purpose of a mail-in. Obviously, I would assume that Create a Cobra was, but the Arctic Commandos Sub-Zero, he was intended for a different set, as were many things in 1993. And we're still, I think we're still kind of piecing together what those purposes were.
So this is the one where they were also going to be used with the kind of vehicles and the polar bear, right?
That's correct. And if you look at the name of the set is the Arctic Commandos. If you look at the name of the set on the mock-up box, it is
Arctic Assault
Arctic
Team.
Commandos.
Oh yeah, it is Arctic Commandos. Yeah.
So it definitely is descended, I would believe, from that set, because not only does it have the same name, but it actually still contains Sub-Zero. Now, a lot of people have been a little bit confused as to what the other figures would have been in that set, because this set was almost the same deal as the Dino Hunters, where you got the Dino Hunters came with 1 vehicle. This looks like it would come with 2. Both of them would have come with an animal inserted in there, but both of them would have only come with 2 figures. There's a lot of other figures pictured on the box for the Arctic Commandos set, but that's just because retail figures were often included on the images for vehicle boxes, even though they're not actually included in the package. You could see from the mock-up that only 2 figures were intended to be included, and those figures would have been Sub-Zero and Snowstorm.
Interesting. Okay, next. I love the whole idea of those. Like the Dino Hunter set was really fun and cool, and had one of the best dinosaur figures ever made. Lols. And also, like, at the time, or close to that time, at the time, you'd already had Jurassic Park figures out. Like the level of dinosaur toy in toy aisles was dramatically good. Like that first year of JP stuff was incredible. So why on earth did they get a squeaky dog toy basically in that set? It's bonkers, isn't it?
That just makes me imagine what the Arctic set would be. It's got this amazing art, and it's got the reused Mudbuster. And then here's this rotocast, hollow, squeaky polar bear to go with it,
There's a charm to them for sure, and I love like the figures in the vehicle in the Dino Hunter set, but and I kind of wish they'd done more with those things. And it was I think early on I saw the Dino Hunters thing and thought there was going to be like a whole range of this stuff that got cancelled, but in actual fact it was slightly different, wasn't it? Like they had this idea to kind of release animal vehicle figure kind of sets, but not necessarily more Dino Hunters, but like different versions of that kind of of thing, right? With in different situations. Like, wasn't there a water-based one, or have I just made that up?
That's next.
Awesome. So, segueing like an absolute professional, staying in 1993, we have Deep Six. The figure is a repaint of version 2 Deep Six, and guys, take it away.
Sea-Force was another proposed set in the vein of Dino Hunters that did not make it to market. One of the figures would have been Deep Six. It would have come with a repainted Barracuda sub and a Piranha jet boat. The art also shows a 1994 shipwreck and a dolphin companion animal from the 1992 Deep Six. Who knows what could have been, who could have been piloting submarine, but it's likely it would have been a 2-figure set like the Arctic Commandos and the Dino Hunters.
Oh, that is gorgeous artwork.
Really.
So one cool thing is that Barracuda sub is actually turned up. I found it online. I'm sorry, I don't remember the website, but they had a picture of it, and it's basically an all black Barracuda with all the other parts in red. Mm-hmm. So it's actually a nice looking little sub.
Awesome.
That isn't just kind of built from previous parts, is it? Because all of the parts, that's the kind of the strange thing about this one, is that you can kind of piece these together from existing parts. The Barracuda that came out, I guess it would have been called the Man of War, that came out in, I think, 2000, maybe 2001, have the red details that you need.
Oh, really?
It's a dark red, but yeah.
And the original Barracuda have that the top-bottom variation where they flip-flop the colors and make a solid colored one. So the original Barracuda, you could basically construct a solid colored blue or a solid black, but with yellow detail, with yellow smaller pieces. And then for the Man of War, you actually could, if you got both of them, construct a solid black and a solid silver one. So that isn't like a custom that you're talking about, is it? Is that an actual...
I don't know. They listed it as a possible test shot, and then they pointed out that this set had come out.
I guess maybe we need to look at the color of the red, because I would suspect that would probably not be the same as what would have been coincidentally released by Hasbro in the early 2000s.
I take it the other artwork we have for the for Deep Six himself, that would have been used on the box to indicate the figures in the box, possibly, or would that, or card art or something like the file card art?
Yeah, it's used on the file card for sure.
Yeah, I would assume that these would have kind of been offered to stores, because the Dino Hunter set wasn't exclusive to Toys R Us. So my understanding was that they probably would have been shopping these sets around to Toys R Us or any store that would have wanted them. And undoubtedly, Toys R Us was smart to pick up the Dino one because, and I'm sure Hasbro designed it with this in mind as well, that, you know, there was Jurassic Park out for G.I. Joe to hunt maybe a little bit better quality dinosaurs.
Hell yeah.
And it was a great segue into G.I. Joe. If you were a Jurassic Park fan, maybe your parents saw this Dino Hunter set and then bought you G.I. Joe.
Yeah. And
Joe was trying to do that at the time, you know, cover all the bases of other things that were popular.
Ninja Force, Star Brigade, yada, 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 yada.
But with this Sea-Force and Arctic Commandos, I don't really see what those could have been mimicking at retail. So that could be why a retailer would not have picked them up. And then instead we ended up getting the Deep Six inside a mail-in.
The level of detail on the art for this, as well as for the Arctic Commandos, that most likely shows that it was something they're presenting to retailers. You know, just like with the figures, you know, they had their in-house presentation art, which was nice and good enough for Hasbro. But if they wanted to show something outside, you know, to a retailer, they'd get Dave Dorman and something like that and go over the top with their presentation art.
You know, all the backgrounds on show and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
So on the level of detail with this Sea-Force, as well as the Arctic Commandos, I bet those were created for presentation to retailers.
I'd have had them in a heartbeat, honestly. I think they're gorgeous sets, and I love the fact that you get a little animal with them. I think that's just adorable. I think that's just so cute, especially if it had been, like you say, a rotocast, like squeaky dog toy dolphin. That'd have been sweet. Also, how good would the General Hawk figure be in this set as well? As a diver with Deep Six, same color scheme and everything.
He's driving the sub. He's in the sub.
There you go. There you go. All these like random figures that have come out in mailaways that you can just now fit into different teams that work. Neon team, Neon diving squad, brilliant. Anyway, yes, yeah, I love these. These are freaking awesome. Is there anything else to talk about on that? Are we good to move on?
Yeah, and we showed the file card art. You know, that the presentation, the file card art showing the full body actually has come out and been found. So
yeah, 3D Joe's actually was the source for that as well.
Yeah, I remember seeing that in the book and being like, oh damn, they've got some like full art vehicle driver artwork, which was mind blowing to see.
Mm-hmm. That was on eBay years ago, and I just remember thinking I didn't have the money to buy it. And then the person who did buy it was nice enough to donate the imagery to 3D Joe's.
Brilliant. That's awesome. Name them. I'm just kidding, don't. Right.
I don't think I'm allowed to, but I did get permission from them specifically to use this. So
okay, awesome. Thank you very much, whoever you are. We know who you are. Right, 1993, and staying in this, the longest year of mailaways ever, International Action Force. Not what you're thinking, we're still in the United States. The set consists of repaints of Big Bear, Big Ben, Budo, and Spirit version 3. And I like this because there's like an element of let's utilize the Action Force name a little bit here, which I thought was quite cute.
I think it's interesting that we got Spirit. I'm assuming Spirit's supposed to represent America and not Native America, the United States of America instead of the Native American. But I mean, I'm also kind of curious as to why we even had an American on this. I don't know. I feel like International Action Force, out of the 500 something GI Joes, they're all American except for 4 or whatever.
Well, maybe that's why they used him. Maybe that's why they used Spirit as a kind of like alternate, if that makes sense, for the United States of America.
Can you imagine what like a redecoed Skymate might have looked like in that set?
Oh, damn, son. I mean, this is one of those times where the repaints are actually bloody gorgeous as well, aren't they? Like I look at all of them and nothing stands out to me as a poor repaint. I think they're all really solid. Like Big Bear with the silver hat is just amazing. But then like the kind of that really dark, is it like dark brown or black with like the kind of dark tan straps and everything, just really really nice. And then obviously a very similar vibe with Big Ben.
And Big Bear's uniform is actually like slightly more accurate because in Russia the naval infantry wears black. And that looks significantly more real than that kind of deep green kind of green that the original figures in. Yeah,
totally. And I love that like Big Ben has like there's a connection almost with the two of them. Like there's like a similarity in the colors. And I think like Big Ben, let's face it, that first version I adore. I think that color scheme's beautiful, but there's something really like interesting about that kind of deep dark orange and again browns and bits of white in there as well. It's so cool.
Well, and the only thing we could find pre-production to share with everybody here is the test shots that if anybody searches eBay would have found on eBay more than once. But still, they're cool. I like them. I like the way they look.
Oh yeah, and that teal on Budo as well. Oh, they're all great. I love them. Spirit looks great too. Love it. Great set. Anyway, yes, moving on. Sorry. 1993 still, because we just love 1993, we get the Battlecopter Pilot 2-pack, a set consisting of repaints of Major Altitude and Interrogator.
And once again, just following all the other repaints, I think these are beautiful repaints. I mean, I don't really see most of these as being something in the real world, except maybe the International Action Force. But I, as a collector, and I'm sure if I was young enough to collect these back then, I would have thought they were great as a toy.
And Interrogator finishes your underwater diving team perfectly there, doesn't he? So that's great. I also like the fact that Major Altitude looks more like he's in a Cobra kind of colours than Joe with that blue. It's really nice. Oh, yeah, really cool again.
I think it's interesting that 1993 had so many mailaways. I believe wasn't like 1993 like the second most profitable year or one of the best years for Hasbro's GI Joe line?
That's what I've heard. That's what Kirk mentioned. Yeah.
So I think that's cool that we had so much stuff in 1993, and then they canceled the line in 1994.
Well, I think, unless I'm mistaken, in the original line, I think 93 is the biggest year, like the largest number of figures of any year in the original line. Like, there's just so much in 93.
It rivals 2009. I guess I probably should have done a count, because I was even thinking about that before we started talking, and I thought, you know, it's not going to come up, so I won't even bother counting.
It always, everything comes up.
But either 2009 or 93 has the largest number of figures released.
And 2009 has a bunch. I did the database migration for Yojo. There's a lot of stuff in 2009.
That was a good year, man. And I was at Toys R Us at the time, so I was trawling it in. That was a good ass year.
You know what I say is weird about this interrogator is that I believe in one episode of the Deke cartoon, they used multiple interrogator character models attacking one of the G.I. Joe bases. And so they essentially created an interrogator trooper.
An army builder.
But it's not this color.
Oh.
Little bit of a disconnect there, or almost I don't want to say disappointment, because I think that from memory, this color actually does look a little bit better, but it would have been cool if there had been a connection between the two.
Imagine Interrogator leading a team of Interrogator troopers. Like, that is just typically bonkers G.I. Joe right there, isn't it? And also, this is off topic a little bit, but I really want a Zorana repaint from the Deke cartoon. I think her color scheme in that Deke cartoon is wicked.
With the green,
with like the kind of like like green, and there's all sorts of weird stuff in there, but it works anyway.
And Zoran, you're right. I'll just let it go.
No, take it. It's fine. I'll cut it out.
I was just going to say, you know, the G.I. Joe 25th anniversary had that Zorana mold that was used, but only as an exclusive. So to me, that's an obvious opportunity that if they're going to be doing this retro line, just go ahead and reuse that mold and release it in the Deke colors.
Yes. Agreed. I agree with that.
Mom write a letter.
Yes. Mrs. Stewart, get on that. Right. What have we got next? Okay, so we're finally out of 1993, the largest year in human history. Actually, no, 2020 has been the largest year in human history. It's never friggin' ending. Right, 1994 now, and we've got G.I. Joe Colton, if you didn't already know. Also released at retail that year was the 30th anniversary figures, and G.I. Joe fit into that set. This may be the last time to use those flag points. Was it? Oh, that's such a shame.
Well, in 1994 was the last year. So in 1994, I guess once they canceled the toy line, we all thought this will be the last year we can use flag points.
Mm-hmm.
Was it?
Well, we'll find out.
Yeah, the offer was still out there whenever we knew that G.I. Joe was going to end. So I think that the impression was, use up those flag points. There's an awful lot of 1994 mint on card figures that you can find that have the flag points cut out. And I think that specifically Colton and all those 93 figures are to blame.
I'll tell you something, though. Because we didn't have as many mail-aways in the UK, I have got all of my old action points from... I literally still have them in a little envelope, all cut out. There's about 50-odd in there, because I was just literally trawling them in and cutting them out of every card. In hindsight, I would have kept the cards intact completely, but I ended up cutting the file card out, cutting the flag points out, and throwing the rest away. And I would keep the occasional cross-sell aspect. So the thought of getting rid of all that artwork really kills me now, because it's beautiful. I don't know why I didn't think that was worth it at the time to keep. Maybe it was just because I'd torn the bubble off, yeah, pretty much. So I don't know. It saddens me to this day that happened, but I still have all my action points. So if it does come up again, hell, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to buy some figures, guys. Sell me something.
So, what's kind of interesting about this Joseph Colton is that, when the 30th anniversary came out, they came out with the astronaut, the Marine, the soldier, the Navy, sailor, whatever.
The butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker.
All those figures. Yep. But for the presentation, the sculpt sheet, which we're showing, I guess now, is that the name of the toy it's listed as Green Beret.
Mhm.
So, it wasn't listed as Joseph Colton. It was listed as another one of the 30th anniversary, a generic, soldiers or versions of the 1964 12-inch. So it's interesting that, it's created for that toy line, and then they decided to make it a mail exclusive, and they named it Joseph Colton. So they were able to G.I. Joe. So they kind of made it tied, it all back together, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, it makes sense because the Green Berets were kind of in the original 12-inch line. I know there were a number of Green Beret exclusives. I know Sears had a Green Beret exclusive back in the 60s. So that was kind of like a premium-ish product, or kind of, I think, in that 12-inch world viewed as a kind of a premium figure, even among the original stuff. So
yeah, but they didn't sell it as a mail away for a Green Beret. They sold it as a mail away for Joseph Colton.
And it's interesting because the figure was available as both a 3 3/4 inch and as a 12-inch in the same promotion. Because I can't think of any other time where we really had that either.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and by that point, Larry Hama had already introduced G.I. Joe as a separate character in the G.I. Joe universe in the comic books, so it wasn't that big of a leap to take that figure and make him into G.I. Joe, but they did give the addition of his last name.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Well, and we have, we're also, with imagery, some of the other prototypes we've come across is we found the two up paintmaster. So you can see that image here. You can see how it's 8 inches tall, and it's articulated. It's cool. It actually, this one's articulated. So actually, instead of being painted solid, so it doesn't move, it actually had movable joints.
Cool.
And we also have an image of a 1-to-1 scale resin that's been primered white that would have been, hand painted. But it's interesting is it has a different chest. I believe it was this particular chest was for the 30th anniversary soldier.
That chest was not used.
Oh, it wasn't used at all. So that was interesting that it was just an alternate chest. I mean, I don't know where it came from or how they had it, but it's something they were mocking up or messing around with at Hasbro.
Yeah, and actually by showing you the 2-up, we're not showing you anything you haven't seen already. Everybody's already seen the 2-up because the for Joseph Colton actually is a picture of the 2-up, because it always bothered me. Well, didn't totally bother me. The figure ended up coming with the same rifle from Gung Ho, and from like the Battle Corps era Gung Ho, and the offer he has a different rifle, and I never really could put together why they had changed that, and then I realized, as a collector later on, that the reason was that I think that's a rifle for a larger scale figure, because that's actually the 2-up holding it.
Interesting. So on the mail-in, on the actual offer image, that's the 2-up. Cool.
Yeah, because it's not standing next to anything, so you really can't place in your mind what scale it is. It just looks like a 3 3/4 inch figure.
Yeah, skills. Okay, cool. Nice. Is that everything on Joe? I'll move on. Okay, then we leap forward in time dramatically. Everyone get in the DeLoreans. 2002, or 2002, as a friend of mine calls it. The Reservist, G.I. Joe vs. Cobra fan club set. Similar to Steel Brigade, but a randomized 2-word name file card.
Yeah, your file cards in this situation, whenever you mailed away for Steel Brigade, you created the name.
Mm-hmm.
For the Reservist, they would actually mail you a personalized name. So everybody got kind of these 2-word weird code names.
Mm-hmm.
Judging from what I'm guessing here, Troy, do you remember? Did you get this?
I did.
Do you remember yours?
I don't remember my code name. I don't. I just remember it made very little sense.
How are you going to know if the Joes need to call you? Like, you need to remember the code name.
I should actually add at this point, I should have mentioned it way before, but during an Action Force, one of the early Action Force fan clubs, they issued you a code name, and my one was Firelinks, by the way.
I might actually have that. Hold on, just a second.
Yeah, my one was Firelinks, and I got that, and I used that then for all the other things like Steel Brigade, or if I sent a message or a letter to whatever address I could find. Yeah, I can't believe I forgot to mention that.
I wish that I had gotten something as cool as Firelinks. My code name that I granted from Hasbro in 2002 is Danger Watchman.
That's not bad.
Not bad.
I was expecting something like, I don't know, Monkey Tennis or
But
Steve.
Danger
Or something
Watchman.
That's pretty cool.
Okay.
I mean, and Firelink sounds like Chris's stripper name.
It does.
What
And
are
it
the
is.
ones that are
It
on
is also.
Yojo? While Troy goes to look for his, I will look up the ones that are on Yojo.
Well, while we're waiting for Troy, this is the one that didn't use flag points; it used battle points. I mean, like, what was a battle point?
That's a good point. I think that the effort was to move on from flag points and have the same kind of program, but to differentiate things. So again, they were putting them on the package with the intention of doing something with them, and then they found this. But everything starting with 2002, instead of flag points, we moved on to battle points. But collectors still had, I don't know how, after all those 93 figures and buying up all those Joseph Coltons, we still had a bunch of flag points. And so we asked Hasbro, can we use them? And they honored them. So you still could use your flag points, but Hasbro's just trying to use up all those old flag points because we're moving on to battle points.
This would be a good time to name drop articulated points, wouldn't it, Pat?
Yeah, that's true. Articulated points. Our show on YouTube, me and Philip. And I wonder if Philip's the one who has the cards that are on Yojo. No, David Staples had 2 of them. His code names actually weren't too bad on the file cards that are on Yojo. I got Danger Watchman, but he got Crash Master. That one's pretty cool. And Bio Soldier.
Nice.
I got stuck with Crunch Jumper. That's why I didn't bother to commit it to memory.
How could you not remember that?
The hell's a Crunch Jumper?
I tell you now, mate. I'm remembering
You
that.
are.
I'm remembering that from now on. That sounds like a Transformer name, doesn't it? Crunch Dump Jumper.
It does, yeah. Crunch Jumper.
Bit cliff jumpery. Bit, yeah.
It's after the cliff jumping. He's just
Crunch.
if the impact didn't go too well.
Cliff jumper, impactor, crunch jumper. That's the series of movements right there. Amazing.
Yeah, why wasn't Crunch Jumper your online handle back on the forum days? That you should have been.
I actually think I may have.
He uses it for
been
a
on the
fetish
forum
site
before
instead.
That. Before that came in, I do remember that this was the first mail away that I got to have again after the original run. Because in 2002, I was 19 years old and I had my own checking account. So I will.
Big boy.
It would have been hilarious if they didn't mail it to you.
I know. Or if they said, "Oh, hang on, is this that?" No, we can't sell it to him. This is one of them. We got an angry letter from his mother one year.
And his mother said, "Please do not mail him anything ever again."
Ever again. Even if you come back after 1994, do not do it. Amazing. Right, so that's the reservist.
Yeah. And we should also mention that there was an image. I can't quite find the image. Maybe I will prior to this going online.
Hopefully before I edit it.
Inside a catalog of like the 2002 lineup that included the reservist, but he was actually consisted of parts from Frostbite, and which he did end up using the head from Frostbite, but he was just a mix of parts from the Tan Duke vest, Frostbite, and Gung Ho. And some of those did show up coming out of China. There were actually a lot of figures coming out of China, kind of on eBay at the time. And we do have an image of the comparison of that. But it's really not too much of anything special because it really is just those parts mixed around.
Cools. Okay, so straight off into 2003, we have Agent Faces. This required 12 battle points, a completed form, and $2.99. That's not too bad actually. That actually sounds very much like an old mail away in terms of price and battle points and so on, and flag points and so on. So that's quite, Not
It'd
bad
be
at all.
interesting to figure out what the exchange rate is between action points and battle points and real world dollars.
Yeah, like one battle point equates to 3.75 flag points, that kind of thing. Yeah. And if you're getting an action point, that's 3.5 trillion US flag points.
Well, you know that you guys know that I don't believe in toys made after 1994. I just don't believe in it.
That's why he hasn't said anything, guys, since 94.
End up buying this one, like 5 or 6 of these when I could find them at toy shows and stuff like that, because I thought this was a beautiful figure, and the concept of being able to remove the helmet off of a Crimson Guard was, to me, was like mind blowing. So I loved this toy.
And this might have been the last time to use those flag points again, right?
Yeah, because collectors asked, can you just use our old flag points? Hasbro said yes. Just please try to use them up.
Amazing. I love that aspect of it. And again, like there's such a nostalgic connection there that Hasbro clearly were tapping into. Like let's really tug at the heartstrings. They'll want this because they can utilize those flag points and feel like kids again. And I'm down for that totally. 2 years later, in 2005, we get a very interesting one, and this was one that I actually mailed away for, believe it or not. 2005 Storm Shadow Unmasked. Now, this one would set you back 10 battle points, 1 completed form, and the shipping and handling. Now, this is interesting because I actually got this figure, and I can't remember how. Like, I know that it was on the comic packs, like the sticker and the promotion, and I was trawling those in from like Small Joe's and BBTS and stuff like that while I was in the UK. So it was, costing me a lot of money to get that shipped over, but like I needed those big time. And that was when I was really collecting it again, like just trawling that stuff in. And I remember seeing that promotion and going, I need this figure so bad. And I can't remember if I got it via a site like Guru Planet or Small Joe's or someone like that at the time, or if I actually did send off for it and used my friend's address in the US, I think, as a, because we couldn't get it delivered to us in the UK. So I think I did it like that as a mule. But yeah, this was a cool figure as well. I really loved the fact they did an unmask, Tommy Arashikage. I thought that was amazing.
This is another one of those things where they had a lot of them left over, and the official G.I. Joe Collectors Club had these for years afterwards that you could buy.
I got mine actually at the 2007 International G.I. Joe Convention. I know, another new one, but they Hasbro was there, and they were doing like they had like you had to zip line a figure down from the the second story to the first story.
Yeah.
And if you made it or whatever, they gave you. I got one of these free.
I remember that. I remember seeing that. I wasn't there, but I remember seeing that on a video or something. Yeah.
So Hasbro was at the convention giving these away. I mean, it was a very easy task. So they were pretty much giving those away to anyone who did it.
That's brilliant. And funnily enough, out of the 3 figures we've mentioned in the modern era so far, you have 2 of them, Chris. So well done on that for not collecting modern era figures. Anything to add on Storm Shadow Unmasked?
Just that, again, collectors said, hey, instead of battle points, can I use those flag points? And I don't know where they were coming up with them still, but Hasbro honored them.
That's amazing. They were getting loads of mint on card, mint in box vehicles on eBay and just chopping them up. Oh, that's awful just to think about that.
Well, if you think about it, back then it was probably cheaper to buy a 1994 carded figure and cut a flag point off than it was to buy a 2005 toy from Target.
So true. True.
I mean, the reason I own every 1994, 1993 figure mint on card is because it was cheaper to buy them mint on card than it was to buy them loose when I started.
It's crazy how abundant they are, even in the UK. Like literal cases of them exist of that era of figures. It's nuts. Okay, so amazingly, 3 years later, in 2008, we get Operation Rescue Doc. Hasbro brought back the collect points concept for this figure. Kids or adults in most cases collected stickers available on the retail figures and sent those in with an offer card.
Yeah, these were only available in comic packs. inside the comic pack, you would get I guess I shouldn't say all comic packs. It had to be one of the ones labeled with Operation Rescue Doc. And inside, you would get the offer form that you needed, and six, or you'd only get one. You needed to collect 6 stickers to put on that offer form. And then you needed to mail away $4.95 with the form and the 6 stickers. Or, once again, collectors still managed to have flag points and requested if they could use those. Said, okay, but for the last time. And I thought that would be a great way of mentioning that, along with this last figure, that this was like the official last time. They actually said this time, this is it. Please use up all the flag points. This really is the last time that you will be able to use them.
You wait until they do a G.I. Joe classified mail away.
People will be asking again, I'm sure, can I use my old flag points?
Could you get your mom to write a letter and ask that we use flag points again? Could you?
Yeah, they did.
Could you get her to do that?
What?
It was all Mrs. Stewart's letter writing that brought it out. I love the fact that on the rescue doc, like the actual redemption certificate, they've gone very retro with it. It almost looks like something you'd have found back in the day.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Yeah, and then they did change up doc. There was a different run of them because people were complaining about the cut in the arms where exactly it was for that joint, and they had moved it further up, and doc is available both ways.
Cool. Awesome.
Okay, so food for thought. Not too long ago, I was actually looking through some old magazines, and I came across this one, Action Figure News and Toy Review, from October of 1993, number 13. And earlier on, Troy had mentioned the 1993 G.I. Joe convention, and I wasn't there, but this article by Brian Mulholland really makes that convention sound amazing. I wish that I had been there, because Hasbro Direct was in attendance, and they were the ones, who put those stickers on things. That General Hawk figure from 1993 with those stickers, I'm sure that they had brought them there officially, because they did bring other things officially. As a matter of fact, Hasbro Direct even talked about sourcing a lot of those figures from various finds around the world. So they were actually reaching out to the Hasbro offices in various countries to see what kind of overstock was available for these conventions. So that kind of tells the story maybe of where some of those yellow carded, well, I guess those showed up on eBay, so not those, but it does tell the story of where Undercover Scarlet Quarrel comes from, and a lot of those other bagged things. So
from 1992.
From 1992, that's right. So it's just kind of an interesting thing to think about. But I really wanted to bring up one point that's inside this catalog, because they were talking about other potential things that were going to come out. And there's a little bit of, whenever you get early information, sometimes the details aren't all there and you're kind of trying to determine things. So I'm not quite sure what exactly this would have turned into, but it says, Hasbro Direct will forge ahead with an exclusive offering at Chuck E. Cheese restaurants, which are repaints of previously released figures without weapons. And obviously, whenever Chuck E. Cheese released those, they were just previous figures. So I don't know if that was just some conjecture there, and the Brian Mulholland was being told, hey, Chuck E. Cheese will have figures. That's what I'm guessing. But that kind of makes me wonder, what are the details of these further things? And he goes on and says, as well as possible mail-in offers along the lines of Safari Joes, and in parentheses he says, recolored figures with animals. And then he goes on to say, and compendium sets featuring the various versions of such characters as Cobra Commander and Snake Eyes. So 2 different things here that he's talking about for mailaways. One of them being Safari Joes that could have come with animals, and the other one being compendium sets, which would have been multiple versions of a specific character. What do you guys make of that?
For Safari.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be my guess as well. You have Força coming out in Brazil around the same time. So to me, it would make sense that if we already know that she's sourcing things from international markets, it really makes sense that she was probably looking to include that.
I do love those Força figures, so I'd have been down for that.
Yeah, and as we said earlier with DJ and Rampage, and there was also even a Quick Kick that was actually sourced from South America. So they definitely were making a lot of deals for those mail-ins from there. So that's what my guess would be as well. The compendium sets, though, I really don't know what to make of that. Maybe at the time they could have been looking to some previous versions. I know that some of the stuff coming out in Europe was usually like a year or two later, so you probably could have done like a Ninja Force Snake Eyes or some kind of repaint of him along with the version for Snake Eyes. Probably was in production not too much before this, somewhere. And who knows what else? 89 Snake Eyes. I don't know. Back to version 1. Clearly, they
to me that sounds like
had something available.
To me, that sounds like one of those like history of kind of sets where you've got like
sure.
you know that Turtles one that had like every Leonardo and stuff like that, and you just kind of like you could do that with Snake Eyes, but it'd be like a 65, 70 figure box set.
It would have been shorter in '93.
True, it would have only been 50 figures at that point, I think. No, but you could have had like version 1, 2, 3, 4, Ninja Force, Shadow Ninja, and what else was available then? Was that it?
They were working on... Oh, yeah, that's it. For Snake Eyes. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, so a 6-figure set would have been pretty cool.
I'm sure that they would have kept it shorter than that, and who knows if they would have even changed up some of the colors of some things whenever they did it.
I imagine there would have been rejigs in some of those figures. Yeah. We may even have got Ninja Force figures without the limitations. Could you imagine that?
That would have been awesome.
Yeah.
Imagine getting like I'm just speculating massively here. Imagine getting like not just a Ninja Force Snake Eyes, but that could actually
move.
I'm sure they would have gone all out for that, but that would have been cool.
And a Shadow version of it as well, Shadow Ninja version, which would have been impossible because why would they do that? Like they would have thrown the old one in surely. But that would be wicked. I'd have loved to have seen something like that. All the tooling budget could have gone on that figure, and you could have just had reissues of the others if they still had that available. They probably wouldn't have had the earliest availability of the mold, would they? The first version.
Well, you figure 97 didn't come too much after this, so I would think that they would have.
Of course, yeah, because they had that Snake, the Commando version in Scarlet really re-released in that little 2-pack, didn't they, in like the late 90s, early 2000s?
That was 2000.
That one, I debated on whether or not we should have included that as a mail-in, but I kind of felt that at that point we were kind of getting too far into online exclusives. Though maybe that one should be included, the Scarlet and Snake Eyes 2-pack, because that was...
Too late now.
Offered that. Yeah, maybe we've missed something.
I got that. I managed to get hold of that. So if I can get hold of it, it's not worth putting it in. And also, they also released it with the DVD set as well, didn't they? The Snake Eyes with Timber. Yeah. So
and then multiple times with comic packs. So
of course, yeah. No problem. Easily have done a compendium set with a version times. 1, 2, 3, 4.
One of those things too where they decided that they didn't have the parts that they really wanted. I remember before the 97 stuff at Toys R Us, there was that solicitation for the 2 4-packs, one of Joe and one of Cobra, and specifically it has the 85 Snake Eyes and the 83 Cobra Commander with the swivel arms on it. And then when the stuff did come out in 97 for the 15th anniversary of Real American Hero, then those figures were not included, even though I want to say like the Snake Eyes and Cobra Commander art are both used on the packaging. But
I think the reason why those didn't come out was because that Snake Eyes in particular, the last time that he was used would have been in Brazil.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Still down there, and that relationship at that point no longer seemed to be the same or no longer existed. Mm-hmm. Whereas back in 93, whenever they would have been thinking about this, clearly they still were doing stuff together.
Interestingly as well, Cobra Commander had version 1, version 2, battle uniform, whatever you call it. Then it was the Talking Battle Commander. Then it was
91 with the launcher. With the
the launcher. Star Brigade. And so he's got 6. So you could easily have had 2 6-packs, couldn't you? Because, I mean, you'd go with the figure that had the least amount of versions, and then you'd release something that matched that, I guess, if you were thinking about it from a marketing perspective.
For some reason, I have a feeling they would have kept it to 3 or 4, similar to the international team set and the Commandos. But yeah, they probably could have. I have no doubt the Cobra Commander probably would have gotten the hooded Cobra Commander because they still would have had a bazillion of those ready to go. So probably would have gotten the original hooded Cobra Commander. Maybe not. Maybe they would have included the
later one, possibly.
Later one, but I don't know. It's definitely something fun to think.
Or they'd have had the original
that we did not get.
Or they'd have had the original blue one and then the later black one, possibly, to differentiate the two.
Yeah, I just love thinking of all the things that they could have done with those classic molds for those core characters.
This is what you could have had, absolutely.
In big sets, even Duke.
So, I mean, that article is really cool in the aspect that showed that convention that happened in the middle of 1993 showed that the thought process, the woman that was the director of Hasbro, in charge of Hasbro Direct, they were still thinking about what we're going to do in 1994 and beyond. And, kind of giving the people at that convention a sneak peek of this is what you might be getting.
Sneak peek?
Yeah, exactly. So it's interesting that, that Hasbro killed the line in 94 and it shows the thought process that, basically at the tail end of 93, they were still working on 94 and 95. They were still planning ahead.
Yeah, I'm kind of sad that it happened.
An article from Big Brawler himself.
Yeah,
exactly. Old Hawaiian shirt wearing Mulholland.
Yeah, I after Pat told us about this, I bought a copy of this magazine. I read the article. I think we're going to post the article, on here as well. So people
are we?
I'm going to slowly have it rising up next to us.
I recommend you go out and find this magazine article because it really Hasbro was in attendance as well as Hasbro Direct, and Hasbro was showing off prototypes, showing off things that have happened in the past, and some ideas for the future. They were giving away complete sets of 1993 figures to attendees.
Lovely stuff.
It sounded like a convention. I mean, this is a DeSimone convention, but it sounded like an international JoeCon when Hasbro was in attendance, really full blown. I mean, they were. It's a definitely convention. I am very upset that I never even knew it existed until now, because I would love to have gone to that.
I was still in high school. I could not have afforded to go, so I can only have so much regret.
I was in college. I was a man. I could have gone.
It would have cost me a fortune, so it wasn't going to happen. I was like, friggin' 12, 13, 14, hell no. Anyway, yes, that conclusion time.
So I guess that gives us time for a Q&A. Does anybody have any questions? Please leave them in the comments.
No questions? Okay, let's move on.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, guys. It's always fun.
It's never fun. Not for me.
Work. Work to do.
Enjoy the rest of Assembly Required Mobile Online Rally 2020, guys. We've been Joe Declassified, Chris Murray, Patrick Stewart, Troy McKee, and Chris McLeod. Thank you so much, and see you the other side.
Check us out on Facebook.
Chris, you need to wave. We all need to wave so I can edit this together. There we go. Amazing.